here. Thanks to the Arima Public Library and my colleague who made the arrangement, Mr. Ako Otota, to be here to talk about a topic that I'm always interested to speak about. Fortunately for me, at 12 years old, I began that process of emancipation, and I've been very thankful that I have gone along that road. So I am here to talk with you, to have a conversation. The name of my book is Conversation, and this talk will be more of a conversation with you. Alright? So, we have heard a lot about emancipation. Could anybody tell me your thoughts, what emancipation means to them? This lovely young lady here, I could feel the energy. She's going to tell us what are her views about emancipation. So, start the ball rolling first. You could sit, you could stand, and rise, and you could maintain a nice smile. So talk with us. What emancipation means to you?
That was from my ancestors, and they came out of slavery at that time, and also they go on.
So give her a round of applause, right? Focusing on the young first. Go to this lady. So this glasses lecturer is asking this glasses lady who is in the audience to tell us what emancipation means for yourself and share it with us. What it means to you? Being free from what? Slavery. Give her a little round of applause, some encouragement. And the young lady who refused to come in the front row, the pink top, drop top, it's your turn now to burn. What emancipation means to you?
That's when my ancestors were caused so much from slavery, and they have no more income because they don't have to work for their body and be also.
Give her a round of applause. Let us build up our confidence. Give her a round of applause. Any of the others would like to tell us yet what their understanding of emancipation is?
Well, to me, it just meant complete freedom.
Complete freedom. Have you arrived at that point, at this point in time in your life?
Not
You're still trying to
still
get
working
on top
on
of a
it.
few things.
Yes.
This lady here, what does it mean to you?
Free from. I guess we are free from slavery.
Lady in the back, what does it mean to you?
To be free from slavery, yes.
So it's good that we start off on a note of participation, and I wanted to maintain that. As I said, it's a conversation, so I will talk and you will also talk. Alright? Now, emancipation is very important, and it is of great emotional, historical significance to the African community, but we can also broaden the perspective of emancipation. Alright? We must not deny its authentic connection to the African community, but we can broaden it, right? So, let us deal with a few basics, because we always need to appreciate some basics, right? So, asking a question, which country was the first country in the world that declared the 1st of August, Emancipation Day, as a public holiday? Anybody could give me the answer for that? Trinidad and Tobago. Give her a round of applause. Trinidad and Tobago was the first country in the world to declare Emancipation Day as a public holiday. Right? Now, when you look at history studied in school, it is not a complete history in terms of giving a true picture of what emancipation really means. Alright? So, the history books have presented that there were humanitarians and abolitionists who advanced the cause for emancipation. Now, I disagree with them. According to the first Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, which you all know, right? Lady in the pink top. The first Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago is? What? Come on, help her. So you won't get it wrong again. Tell her who was the first Prime Minister.
She said it.
She said it.
Now, if you want to be emancipated, you have to be confident, right? And after this talk, you will be a bit more emancipated, you'll be more confident. So I'll pick on you a bit and boost you up. Alright? So you ain't hiding in the back there. So he, in a seminal work called Capitalism and Slavery, said that the owners, the authorities, etc., the metropole authorities, the European countries who facilitated the slave process, it became uneconomical. So it's not that they were concerned about their fellow man, but they were not making the kind of money that they were making. Because remember, they referred to the slaves as property, all right? And they were using that property and trading it as a commodity and maximizing profit. So it was uneconomical. So it's not that they were concerned about their fellow men. However, from the beginning of the transatlantic journey, some slaves decided that they were not going through that. They threw themselves overboard. All right? There were those who ran away and formed maroon communities like in Suriname. Yeah. There's still such a community there from all those years. Those people never experienced slavery. In Jamaica. All right? So the point I want to make to you is the abolitionists were not the true drivers of the emancipation of the African slaves, but it were the efforts of those leaders who influenced a number of slave rebellions throughout the Caribbean archipelago. And one of the greatest motivators for that was the first successful slave rebellion in Haiti, which resulted in Haiti becoming the first black republic in the Western Hemisphere in 1804. So we have ancestors such as Toussaint Louverture, Henry Christophe, and Christopher Dessalines, who were prime leaders, and the success of that motivated other leaders across the Caribbean to fight for their freedom. So they were not granted freedom, but they actually fought for their freedom. So we are here this afternoon, we are here in life because of the sacrifices and efforts of those who went before us, those who fought to ensure that we could have experienced life today. So anything that we achieve in life today, anything that we do in life today, always remember the sacrifices and the efforts made by our ancestors to be here today. For example, some historians report that between 38 to 42 million Africans were uprooted from the African continent and brought into the New World. They also report that between 10 to 15 million arrived. So, millions died, a far less number survived, although millions, that ensure that we are alive today. So we must always pay homage to that. We must always respect that. So in Trinidad and Tobago, we had slave leaders in the St. Joseph estate, such as Macandal Daga. In Grenada, we had a slave leader by the name of Julian Fedon. In Guyana, we had leaders by the name of Kwamina Kofi. So the point I'm making to you, those people fought and ensured that there is an African population in the New World today. All right? So it is very important that we always respect and pay homage to that. However, at the beginning of the talk, I said to you, we must broaden our understanding of emancipation. Some historians said that the transatlantic journey and the slave experience was the most tragic human experience in human history. For example, a French historian by the name of Jean-Michel Devaux called this experience the greatest tragedy in human history in terms of duration and magnitude. There's also a new term that probably you're not familiar with called the Mahafa. It's a Swahili word meaning the most horrific human experience experienced by any group. M-A-A-F-A. Alright? So, when you think about that, God didn't design humanity to be subjected to such brutality. And no other group or no human being must be subjected to any such thing. But sad to say, we have had numerous happenings in the world even today where human beings are being subjected to real brutality. Alright? So the point that I am making here is that you must not be bitter because of this what I'm saying here. Right? But you must understand that if your ancestors survived that, the level of respect that should be given to them at all times must be paramount, because our survival here today is not, it wasn't that easy. It was an extremely high price in terms of death, in terms of destruction, but yet you survive. All right? So the point I'm making is that other groups, if you have become emancipated, you mustn't be bitter from that experience, but you must become better. So if you have become bitter, it means that the emancipation process has not really kicked in. All right? Anywhere in the world where there is wrong, where there is injustice, all right? So if many people today are out of a job, they cannot feed their families, there's a big need for emancipation to continue. Because in this contemporary existence, space that we live in, if people in the household cannot provide for their families, that is slavery, you know. You ever thought about it in that way? If you want to buy a bread, if you want to buy a pants, if you have to travel to work, you can't do it. That is not a nice feeling. All right? So I'm saying that we have to understand that we must play a role in emancipation, which is a continuing process. All right? So anything that we can do to make life better and easier and to make people feel that they are human will be contributing to the process of emancipation. All right? If people are being unfairly treated in the workplace, that is cause for people with a sense of justice to stand up and do something about it. So if you're not saying anything, if you're not doing anything, I believe you believe in slavery and not emancipation. All right? So where there is wrong, where there is inequity, all right? Is this life a fair life? Tell me. It is not fair. Sometimes just because of how you look, where you are from, people treat you how? Differently, badly, unfairly. So you see, we have to continue the emancipation process. All right? Public officials, hear me carefully, I'm not calling anybody's name, I'm just saying public officials, wherever they are in the world, who are using the resources of the state of taxpayers for their own well-being, that is wrong. And if you're concerned about emancipation, you mustn't stay silent and quiet when these things are happening. That is corruption. All right? If you are using the resources of the state that should be shared with the citizens of the state for your own well-being or your friends and family at the expense of everybody else, well, that is a cause, that is a hindrance to the process of emancipation. All right? In Trinidad and Tobago today, we have a lot of social problems. We agree? Tell me some of them. Crime is a major one, right? Does that help you? Tell me what? All right, the adults, tell me a few. Corruption is one. Partner, yeah?
There are so many things.
Tell me one, only one. Don't tell me many, tell me one alone.
Dishonesty.
All right. And the lady in the back?
Cost of living.
Cost of living. Right? So, once these concerns and problems exist that are making people feel less than human, the emancipation process must continue. So, I made the point that for the African community, we must be thankful for the contributions of our ancestors. However, on a broader scale, I wanted to listen to this statement I'm going to make here in terms of appreciating that emancipation is not just limited, it is directly connected to the African community, but you must see it in a broader perspective. I will read the statement and I will make a few other points to make the point. Right? So this statement reads as follows. History has taught us that emancipation is not distinctly national or racial, but it is a continuing process that involves all men and women of conscience. Tell me what you understand by that. I was making that point in terms of my explanation. It is not distinctly national or racial, right? But it involves all men of conscience. It's a continuing process. And the examples I was highlighting a while ago certainly fits into this here. You follow? So whether you are Syrian, whether you are Chinese, or East Indian, or mixed ancestry, if you have conscience, if you're concerned about human beings in terms of living a life of dignity, you must be involved, and emancipation concerns you too. As I said in the beginning, it's of direct emotional significance to the African community, historical significance, racial significance, that shouldn't be denied, but it also concerns all of humanity. Any comments about that? Or that is pretty clear. All right? When we commemorate emancipation, we are not just celebrating a victory over man's inhumanity to man, but we are also giving meaning to life itself. So this statement was made by Makandal Daga, not the slave leader, the one who was the former political leader of Edja. It's a very profound statement to show you how broad emancipation is. Emancipation is very broad in its context to show that it includes all of us. All right? And the points I was making before, why emancipation is ongoing, when there is injustice, where there is inequity, where there is corruption, where there is callousness. For example, in the school system, when teachers are destroying the self-confidence of students, when teachers are telling students that they are incapable of learning, that they're wasting their time, that is callousness. They shouldn't be in teaching, right? What they are doing is destroying the potential in that child. Let me give you an example. You all ever heard about Les Brown? Les Brown is one of the greatest motivational speakers in the world. In 2014, he visited Trinidad and he spoke at the Cascadia Hotel. A former student of mine, mother organized it, and I was invited to be present. The place was overflowing. Now, he has no college degree or no formal academic education, but he is a multi-millionaire today. He speaks all over the world, in Australia, in Asia, in North America, stuff, all over. He's a multi-millionaire. When he was in school, the teachers were telling him that he was incapable of learning. And the principal pulled him aside one day and said, Les, do not ever make anyone make you believe that. All right? And that was the turning point in his life. So he moved from a child of low confidence to a powerful motivational speaker. Another example concerning him. He went for an interview with 2 PhD candidates. And obviously he has no college degree, nothing. So he's shaking. So he went to the toilet, washed his face, fixed up his tie and his suit, and he said to hell with the PhDs. He got it work. So when you become emancipated, you become confident. When your self-esteem is up, you are on the pathway to emancipation because you will believe. And once you believe, you can achieve. Right? So that was the turning point in his life, to such an extent that he made a very profound statement when he said, do not make the negative opinions of others become your reality. So as we continue the process of emancipation, do not allow anyone to beat down your confidence because they will be keeping you in slavery. All right? And the late great Tubal Uriah Boss Butler said a very profound statement also. He said, our doubts are our traitors. Let me repeat that. Our doubts are, repeat after me, are
Our traitors.
Our traitors. So anytime you start a doubt, you start to fail. You keep yourself enslaved. Right? So, about a month ago, I was looking at a video on YouTube by Eric Hope. He again didn't do well academically. Today he's an international speaker, author, entrepreneur, multi-millionaire. And he made the point that people must change their vocabulary. In psychology, they call it cognitive reframing. Right? So if you're thinking and interpreting a situation one way, if you change your interpretation of the situation, more than likely your energy and your focus and your activity will be different, it will be more positive. So if you see a situation as negative, obviously you won't have energy, You wouldn't be vitalized to move in that direction. So, what Mr. Ho was saying is that when you speak, do not speak in a negative vocabulary. You mustn't shoulda, coulda, woulda. You ever hear that kind of talk? That is doubt. So Butler was correct. Our doubts are our traitors. Because anytime you are speaking in that way, it means that you are doubting. Anytime you say, I hope, hoping is not a process. Anytime you start to hope, you're showing a lack of confidence. You see the point I'm trying to make? So, I will. I mean, you're being realistic too after you evaluate things, but I will. It's a different focus when they say I will. Right? When they say I hope, there is doubt. I believe. I think so, you know. So, think through things, get the relevant information, and have a positive vocabulary, have a positive focus, and move forward. And remember, Butler, our doubts are our traitors. So many students who are in the school system, they are afraid of mathematics. Not you, you bright like that. Right? And some of them, you know why they fail? Not that they can't do it, but they have a very negative view. They're doubting themselves. It's so hard. So because of that mental attitude, they don't have an open mind, so they make it hard even before they start. Right? So when we're talking about emancipation, we got to realize we have to also change how we think and view things. Any comments so far? All right. So, all right, let me continue here. So I'll go ahead and give some other points here. This statement says, respect your heritage and the truth. So it's a quote from this book here, written by Ayoboro Ome, called The Story of Emancipation. It reads as follows. The truth will set us free. You all agree with that? If you want to be emancipated, if you are thinking about emancipation, you must believe in truth. Alright? The truth is the path towards emancipation. If you really want to move towards the path to emancipation, you must believe in the truth. Alright? There is and always was a living truth that Africa is the birthplace of modern man, and all modern mankind are the descendants of a group of prehistoric Africans. Have you ever heard that before? Has anyone here ever heard that statement before? No, this is not a fairy tale, this is not a Nazi story. This is not a statement to promote racial superiority. Because if you're thinking of emancipation, you mustn't think you're better than or you're lesser than any group. In 2011, I visited an uncle of mine in California, and I paid a visit to a place called the California Academy of Science. It's an international museum historical place where people from all over the world visit that location. And they have a big plaque with a big headline, "We are all Africans." So last week Saturday when I did a similar talk in the Central Library, and I mentioned that one lady said, "They're crazy, but we are all Africans." So under the plaque, they said that prehistoric evidence through fossil findings have traced the origin of all modern mankind to fossil findings found in Africa. Those findings were found in different parts. However, it wasn't just a question of finding the finding of the fossil remains, but they also applied scientific investigations to confirm the true origin. So they used molecular biology, they used paleoanthropology, and they tested these findings to determine the identity. In 1986, National Geographic reported about one of those findings, where they found the skeletal remains of a 12-year-old girl called Lucy in Ethiopia about 4 million years ago. You know, there's another theory that we came from apes. That is nonsense. Right? Those skeletal remains and findings confirm that it was of humankind, and also when they look at when they study in terms of identifying the genetic parameters, they were able to determine it was of African origin. Now, don't get me wrong with what I'm trying to say here. There were several findings, and those inhabitants migrated to different parts of the world and their features adapted and changed to suit the climatic conditions. So the findings of modern disciplines, I'm just reading something again, such as paleoanthropology and molecular biology, have been added to other historical evidence, such as the archaeological findings, that the key to modern man's existence is in Africa. So if the key to modern man's existence is in Africa, and if from those investigations, what they have found is that there's a common genetic link among all racial groups in the world. So when they're promoting racism, we have to stop them. But you know why they promote racism? Because it is in the interest of those who have power to keep people divided and unenlightened. So, the Indian person is your brother. The Syrian person is your brother. But they don't want that understanding. There was a racist psychologist who was promoting the theory that people of African origin was of less intelligence than people of Caucasian origin. When they did the test on him, he nearly died. So he had several percentage of African origin in him. The Queen of England has African heritage in her also. So I'm trying to tell you that all of mankind is connected genetically. You follow? But they promote divisions because they want to keep the world divided so that they could do what they want, keep us in bondage. Alright? So, do not believe what I tell you. I want you to do some research and see if you're coming up with anything similar to some of the things I said here. Just don't believe what you hear. Do your own investigation. Alright? That is one thing I tell all my students. Whatever the teacher is saying, do not just believe it blindly. Research yourself and say, yeah boy, this what you were saying has some truth in it, or nah, I ain't believe it. Research it. So I'll give you that challenge. Alright? But the point I'm making, consistent with the point I've been making throughout this talk, is that emancipation concerns everybody. Everybody. Right? Another point for your consideration. When doctors graduate, they take what oath? What they call the oath? Hippocratic oath. So Hippocrates is referred to as the father of medicine. Now I teach a course called the History and Systems of Psychology, among other psychology courses at the University of the Southern Caribbean. I tell the students that this book that we are using is a very deceptive book. And here are one of the statements along the line of that deception. They're referring to Hippocrates. They said Hippocrates is not the father of medicine at the beginning, but as a culmination. Tell me what you understand by that statement. He is not the father of medicine at the beginning, but as a culmination. That making sense to you? Anybody not clear in what that statement is really trying to say without saying it? How you could be the father not at the beginning, but as a culmination? What they are doing is in a very smart way, not willing to tell the truth. Because before Hippocrates was born, medicine was being practiced in Egypt. Alright? And there's a name that is becoming more popular now by the name of